Terrell Royster here, Big O Belt Media. Krystle, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. I've been waiting for this all week. I've been wanting to ask you a few questions about your exciting life, and of course, everything that you have going on. First thing I want to say is that I'm definitely happy and glad to see that you're still here with everything that you've gone through in your life, and 2024, the pandemic, all the tribulations that we've all had to go through the last couple of years. But like I said, I'm definitely glad to be able to do this interview with you today. Thank you so much.
No worries. Gosh, I thought you were gonna be like, you're still alive and kicking. I'm like,
No. um, First thing I wanted to ask, more on the creative side of this documentary, the title "Heart Explosives." I'm not sure how much of the, usually with documentaries they're a little bit, personal stuff like that. What was the kind of the thought process behind the title, and kind of how you wanted to mold everything around that within the documentary?
well, I actually wasn't told the title until the episode was put together. And to be honest, I thought it was the most incredible compliment to the director and the whole team who really listened to my story. Now, when it comes to heart explosions, what I describe it as is that you're in a moment so raw that you have absolutely no control over how you react. And for example, one of those moments for me was that I was free diving off the coast of the Azores in Portugal. And there's this moment one day where we come across a pod of 8 sperm whales. And initially, when I jumped in the water, I thought, "Oh, here we go again." Like, they're really good at doing this magic act where for the biggest creature on earth, you jump in and just poof, gone. But this day, there's 8. They start to swim down. I thought, okay, I'm just going to enjoy this moment. And 5 go to the left, 3 go to the right. So I thought, oh, okay. I mean, at this point, it's bob around the surface, just watching them swim away. But they just keep going left and left. And then they've gone so far left that they're coming back to us. And they start coming back to the surface. They're super playful, like they're rubbing up against each other. There's bubbles coming out. So obviously, like, nah, it's one of those moments when wildlife chooses to interact with you, and they come so close that like I'm looking into the eye of one of them. And at one point I felt like I had to like sort of suck in my stomach to make sure that their fin didn't hit me.
Yeah.
And it was just such an overwhelming, beautiful moment that when I came back to the surface for air and they had swum off, I just started screaming in joy. Like I didn't plan to do that. I didn't think about it. That's just in the moment, as raw as you can get, you just react. And that's what I call a heart explosion moment, is that there is no control.
Man, just thinking about that just right now just gave me goosebumps. So like, you definitely have to. I don't want to say you have to kind of have to be born into that, or just have like a sense of awareness for that level of danger, or of that level of like just knowing that is for you, like being around animals, being around nature, being out, being in the world. I think for this special episode of Photographers, you let us in to your life and let us see a little bit of your family side and kind of your upbringing. And with that, I think a lot of what I'm seeing through a lot of the documentaries is that none of you are necessarily stationary. None of you are like happy with just being in one place. And you say that very early on, where you're like, okay, I'm not very happy with just doing this. And you took it a step further and did what you wanted to do. So a lot of people jump into the other side of the fence, that could be scary. What was something that I know you talked about it as well, but like, what was something that really wanted you to move from the place that you were in when you were, just doing your pictures? You were talking about the horse racing and stuff like that, where you was like, I gotta do more. This just can't be it.
Yeah. Oh gosh. It was just my original dream to be a sports photographer. I realized pretty quickly, like, it only took me 4 years to figure out that this ain't going to happen. I could give 25 years of my life and I may never get given that opportunity to go to the Olympics or to the Rugby World Cup, any of these big events. Like, the industry was rapidly changing. Right. And I got stuck on the horse racing for 2 years, and there was nothing really creative about it. It's like it was just so routine. It's like, all right, this race, I'll go stand on this side of the fence. This one, I'll go stand on this side. And I just wasn't being pushed whatsoever. I was just simply filling in time and collecting a paycheck. And at some point, everything just boiled up. Luckily, I was still shooting my adventure on the side, and my boss at the time certainly did not like it when I was like, all right, I'm not coming back to the office for 5 weeks because I'm going to Pakistan.
Right.
But he didn't really have a choice because, well, I'm a stringer. And that trip, it's funny to say that, look, I was involved in a really frightening accident where, things could have gone very wrong, but luckily I lived to tell the tale. And when I came back to Sydney, I remember, actually, even before I came back, I remember thinking, I hate the relationship that I'm in. It's not healthy. I don't like living in Sydney anymore. I don't like my work with the paper. And it's like, well, something's got to change. And it's tough because I come back, I'm in a moon boot, crutches. Like I took months to heal. So I was still stuck and I was trying to figure it out. But at some point, I was driving to the climbing gym one day and I get a phone call from my university lecturer that I always stayed friends with. And she's like, hey, I've got this friend who needs someone to fill in his second half of the contract guarding in Antarctica. And I was like, you ripper, like this is my escape. And that was it. I packed up my life in Sydney. I finally had the courage to leave. And I just threw everything into that. I took off. I went guiding in Antarctica for 2 months. But then here's the funny moment. Like I found myself coming back. I was visiting my sister in New Zealand. And I realized, well, what am I doing? Like, why am I coming back to Australia? I don't have a home that I have to come back to. I'm not paying rent. I don't have a relationship that I need to come back to. Like I'm the freest that I could have ever, been. And then I remember, right, I'm booking a ticket to the States. I'm going to go travel. I'm just going to throw myself into this and see what happens.
Yeah, that is like I said, it takes people almost like till they hit 40, 50 to be like, you know what, let me hit the reset button, because people are so content in being where they are and they don't want to move the needle or shake anything up, and understandably so, bills, kids, stuff like that. But while you're in the position to do so, if you could figure it out early and you get that lightning bolt moment or that light bulb moment, definitely take the risk. I think that's the biggest thing. Obviously, it's the financial of it all, is you being in the place that you already at to jump over the fence or have an opportunity or friends or anybody that can help you get to where you are. I think that's definitely a big inspiration to a lot of people that are watching this. Like, it's okay to see what's on the other side sometimes, or what you potentially can do with your life.
Well, the number one thing to ask yourself is that, look, I remember when I took off and I thought, okay, what if things go wrong? And I just thought, you know what, I can always go back to home to Australia, go find a job, save the money up again, and then just try again. Like the worst is really not the worst. It's like, so what? Like I've run out of money multiple times and yeah, it sucks. It's stressful, but you just think, I just have to put one foot in front of the other, dollar by dollar. I can fix this again and try, just simply try again.
Yeah, it's crazy. When I was watching this, you guys were chasing tornadoes for a second. I'm like, am I watching Twister for a second? And I the thought of it, just hearing about a tornado or anything over the radio or TV, scares the heck out of people. What even the process to get you guys to even want to be that close? I mean, obviously to get that shot, but like what are the risk involved here? I mean, debris, stuff flying at you. Like what would possess you guys to want to be that close to such a crazy natural phenomenon?
Curiosity. It's just, that's the core of it. It's just being curious about nature, to witness it. But also to document that. And look, chasing tornadoes, it's hard work. Like, for Nick, who's also featured in the episode, and Nick Moyer, he's been my mentor when it comes to both bushfire chasing and storm chasing. And he said, Krystle, that like out of 20 years or more of chasing, that was in his top 5 tornadoes that he's ever witnessed. So it was truly a really special moment. And because you can chase, and then that day there were guys who, incredible chasers as well, but unfortunately they just, they chose the wrong road, or they chose, the wrong position. And if you're just a bit too far back, you actually can't see that tornado because there's so much dust that was being kicked up that if you're too far back, you actually wouldn't see it. So we chased like to be that close so we could actually see it form and develop. And we knew we were in like a fairly safe place, but of course, the wind is just raging around us. So out of the side of your eye, you're always looking out for like, well, is there going to be some sort of debris that comes flying through the air? Like that's definitely a risk that we were willing to take. And I remember at one point, I looked over in this field and I saw a herd of deer just running full pelt. And for whatever reason, I wasn't really thinking. I just saw it and I ran. I just ran for the car because what had happened was that there was a mesocyclonic tornado that had formed. And basically, when that wind hit us, the filmmaker, Michael Cromit, actually got knocked to the ground. And luckily, I got back in behind the car just in time. And like he was fine, just simply, knocked in a bit of mud and dirt. So it's all good. But yeah, it's like whilst you're shooting, you have to keep your peripheral vision always going, just because the situation is just changing so much. But the curiosity, honestly, that is the main driver. It's just there's still so much we don't know about Mother Nature.
Yeah.
The great thing about photographing weather events is that it's not only for our own ego or for like our folio and so forth. It's also we get to submit these images to those who study weather because they need that visual, not representation, but that visual media because it can help them actually decipher possible like clues or reasons of why did the weather act this way that day.
Right. Krystle, I wanted to ask this question because like I said, obviously you've seen your episode, you've watched it, but I definitely wanted to ask this question. I mean, you have your family involved in the episode. Your mom is in this; she's now famous, and and I just wanted to ask, like, with everything, like I said, with you almost kind of dying at one point, just seeing her on screen, just definitely. Devastated by almost losing you. Has your family, your bond with your family, you think has grown that much more, kind of seeing your mortality or almost seeing like, how, what it would do almost, seeing people almost lose you?
Oh, I mean, I'm a bit blasé about it, but I think in Australia, I don't know, maybe we just have a bit of an attitude of like, oh, should be right, get on with it. Like,
right.
Yeah, my family, they obviously know me very well. And they know that if I put my mind to something, like I'm going to bloody well do it.
Right.
And I think they're more proud of me to live a life of, well, I mean, yeah, it does take courage, but I'm going to continue to choose whatever life it is that I want to lead. And look, there can be repercussions, but look, in our daily lives, there is so much risk to what we do. We've just become very tolerant of that. It's, car accidents or planes or you name it. Like we're in this modern world where there's so much that can go wrong every day, but we become complacent about it. And so when someone looks at my lifestyle and they see this adventure and, a lot of people can't tolerate what I do because they're not familiar with those environments that I am in.
Right.
But for me, it's like I do my best to educate myself, to develop the right experience, to make sure that I've got the skill set to keep myself as safe as possible. But at the end of the day, there is an element of spontaneity that none of us can control. And I don't want to live a life and I get to a point and I look back going, you know what, I really wish I took that plane ticket and I traveled to, I don't know, to the Himalaya, or I went to Tahiti to go swim at Chopu, which I did, and it was bloody fantastic. Right. It's just, we have such a short life, then there's no guarantees. So I think if an opportunity comes your way, you have to seize it with both hands, because what if that never comes back? It's just, to me, to play it safe is, what a shame.
Right. Yeah. So many people, so much regret. Now, I mean, clearly you don't have that at all within your life. Krystle, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview with me today. I got a lot of my questions answered. A lot of people are going to see this, obviously, and, definitely probably had the same thing said, getting on the other side, taking the risk. I think you inspire a lot of people. It's a great episode. Some tears in there as well. Like I said, I definitely can't wait for everybody to see it. Thank you so much, Krystle.
Thank you so much. It was lovely to meet you.
Thank you.